All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today, I've got another fantastic topic that I just can't wait to talk to you guys about. We talked last week or a couple weeks ago about Power BI right back. And, I really wanted to keep going in more detail on this stuff, finding more ways we can interact with Power BI and not just interact with Power BI, but make adjustments, make comments, do different things with this. And that's what brings me to our guest today, Mike Marotta from PowerOnBI. We're going to be getting to him right after this. Boom. Alliance is counting on you. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, turn on that alarm bell so you don't miss any future mission. All right. Hey, Mike, welcome to Kratos BI live stream. So happy to have you on. Thank you for taking time out of your day. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Chris. Looking forward to our conversation, the session today.
Oh, fantastic. So, just to bring everyone up to speed, can you give me a little bit of background on yourself and then a little bit of background on PowerOnBI?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Mike Marotta. I'm the VP of Sales here at PowerOn. I've been working in the BI space, CPM space, and planning space for over 10 years now. So working with enterprise organizations, helping them get real-time insights, make decisions. With Power BI, a lot of analysis going on. We're trying to enable the ability to turn Power BI into a true two-way street. So not only can you understand what's going on with your business, but also take action immediately, right? So really enjoyed moving from the legacy CPM space into the Power BI world and BI and analytics and bringing the right back and planning here to this market.
That's fantastic. One of the big things that I've been talking about lately at my job on my YouTube channel and live stream is how do you create experiences that allow people to take action, right? Like, and very specific and targeted action that's not just like, hey, look at something and then go do something someplace else, but right inside the tool. And I think that's where, a tool like PowerOnBI really helps us with this. Can you give me a little background about like how did you guys come up with this? What was the genesis for PowerOnBI to get started here?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a crazy story. And when you've grown as fast and as large as we have, it's kind of surreal sometimes to think about how this all started. Our co-founders had built a Excel add-in for write back to Power Pivot,
Hmm.
right? So we were doing that just for basic Excel and writing back to Power Pivot models. Power Pivot eventually became Power BI, right? So 4 or 5 years ago, a enterprise Fortune 500 company that was looking to move from MicroStrategy to Power BI said, "Hey, we can do a little bit of basic write back in MicroStrategy before we move to our 15,000 users to Power BI. We want to make sure we can do some write back too."
Hmm.
The Microsoft team knew that we were doing write back to Power Pivot and Power Planner, our Excel add-in, and reached out to our team and actually asked if we could build a custom visual for one of their customers. Poof, an ISV partner relationship, and has been built. And now we're kind of, nuclear in all things right back in planning. It started simple, and then all of a sudden we start adding more and more features, more and more use cases for the solution. And now for the last 4 or 5 years, we were the first one to kind of bring the right back enabled custom visuals to Power BI. We've been working close with Microsoft ever since just to fill gaps in the Power Platform if and where they arise, typically around commentary to data points, budgeting and forecasting, planning, operational planning, and now moving really into supply chain, sales, and kind of just spreading all over an organization who wants to collect data in real time. So pretty cool story. It's funny when you look back at how companies are born, and our story is pretty unique.
Well, that's amazing, right? You started, with just a handful of people, and because you worked on a core tool that evolved and expanded, you were able to evolve and grow at the same time. That's amazing. How big is PowerOnBI now?
Yeah, well, I was the first employee back in the day, and now we're luckily up to 60 plus employees across the globe.
Wow.
Um, We're working with the cream of the crop when it comes to the Fortune 500 and large, enterprise Microsoft shops, and making sure that we're lighting up and working with Azure and components, and also things that are not Microsoft specific, right? So we'll talk more about this in a bit, Chris, but so many companies now are looking for right back to Snowflake or, Databricks and X, Y, and Z coming out of the sun, Synapse, right? All things that we work with. So it's been a fun journey for sure. And the growth, new people every single day has been pretty crazy. Good problems to have, right?
All right. Well, Mike, let's stop playing with people. I want to see how this stuff works. Let's pull up your desktop. Let's get into this. Let's start showing everyone what's possible with Power on BI.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Before we do that, Chris, I figured just a few minutes on what we actually do, right? And then we'll dive into the fun stuff.
Yeah.
For those of you watching and wondering why we exist, right? Well, most of our customers that come to us in a proactive nature that Microsoft bring us into, they're dealing with a data collection process, right, of any kind that is slow, just in time, reactive. Doesn't mean you're not getting your job done using Excel, right? Excel's been running businesses for how many years? It's a fact that you have to manually collect something. You need to validate it. You need to ETL it. You need to bring it into Power BI. And by the time it gets there, that stuff can be dead on arrival, right? Mm-hmm. People have tried to throw, custom .NET apps and different types of things and forms and things like that. Sometimes they can feel a little clunky and rigid, right? And you still have people working in silos like SharePoint, no audit logs, things like that. So when companies are looking to kind of take the next step in digital transformation, to enhance processes, to make things more streamlined, but also want to do that directly in Power BI, that's when people come to us. So we kind of enable that fast, real-time, proactive data entry and planning, fully integrate with Power BI, no logins, nothing like that. You have the ability to add our visuals and begin using them on top of the data sets that you've already created. It's flexible from a front-end perspective. People are going to be like, we're in Excel. This is awesome. But everything is structured in the back end. So you don't have to deal with the typical Excel hell points that many people deal with. And again, workflow, approval, commentary, all on the same screen, which is a very nice selling point for people that want to, kind of take their Power BI investment to the next level.
So can you, hang on, can you just explain to me, or maybe you'll get into this, but I've seen some people that are like, oh, hey, I want to do right back. No problem. I can throw up a Power app. I can, do some Power Automate integration on that. And that kind of works. You're saying that you could do more than just have that Power app integration?
That's correct. Yeah. So not only can we have a much more feature-rich experience with our visuals, right? We're talking the ability to do drag and fill, to do custom client-facing formulas, to make aggregate level changes and have them break back proportionally down to the transactional data. But if you try to do that with a Power Apps as an example, you may pull your hair out, or that could take a very long time, right? Yeah. With our product, it's out-of-the-box features. So again, Power Apps, fantastic product. It's blowing up for Microsoft. People are using it for all different types of things. There's going to be certain times when a Power App feels like fitting a square peg into a round hole. Whenever that happens, you can typically look at Power On, right? So forecasting, planning, out-of-the-box commentary to data points where it's stored at a data point level of the model, and anywhere it shows up, so as the comment. There's a lot of different use cases where our visuals and our tool set may make more sense for an organization.
Oh, that is fantastic. So one of our viewers, Greg, hey Greg, how you doing? Has a question about are you seeing use cases outside of FP&A, to leverage right back?
Yeah, to be quite honest, finance and FP&A years ago is kind of what we had in mind when we start building our visuals. Mm-hmm. Very quickly, the enterprise sector took us elsewhere. So we still do a ton with finance and FP&A. I would say that it now makes up 40% of our business, where it used to make up 75% of our business. And the rest is all going to be around sales, operations, supply chain, and IT, building custom applications and using it as a tool set for the entire organization. And that's kind of a perfect segue, quite honestly, into what we provide, right? So it's right back in planning for everyone. We are not just some finance, budgeting, and forecasting. We're quite the opposite, right? Yes, we can help finance. Yes, we work with some of the biggest finance teams in the world, but we're also now working with some of the most large and complex supply chain institutions. We are working with the largest sales organizations in the world. We are working with inventory teams and IT teams that are buying this as a tool set and firing out applications all over their organization whenever that happens. So, Greg, just to answer your question more firmly, across processes here, not an exaggeration, and I'm not like, being a snake oil salesman here. Every single use case you see on your screen is in use at a Fortune 500 company. So this tool set that we're going to be showcasing tonight not only works with finance and FP&A, but also take a look at sales and operations, and anything from sales forecasting to employee scheduling, time tracking, inventory and demand planning. And then we have a lot of companies that actually do a ton of master data management and data validation stuff with our product and our tool set as well.
Oh, I've never even thought about that. That is a great use case. MDM, where you could be right inside your analytics to help drive that. That makes a good sense. And I saw an incredible solution that was kind of built along these lines with supply chain management, but it was using Power Apps, and it worked, and it's very good. But I can't imagine how much better it could be with something like this. Oh, excited about this.
Yeah, for sure. And we definitely have some examples for both the data management aspect of things where someone can see something wrong with their data, make a change, submit it for approval, and have a data quality team approve it in the fly. Where typically that used to have to take multiple Excel spreadsheets, emails, people across the globe collecting, confirming. Now they do it in one screen.
Wow. That sounds fantastic. All right. Well,
yep.
Maybe I can use 2 budget allocations for this then. All right.
Exactly. So what we're going to really showcase for you all today is going to be our full suite. So we have Visual Planner. Visual Planners consist of 4 custom visuals that any Power BI developer can begin using. All right. It's going to enable planning, modeling, driver-based modeling, what-if scenarios. And also we write back to SSAS, we write back to Azure Analysis Services. We write back to your actual data sets in Power BI using XMLA. It makes us very unique in the marketplace. And just recently, everybody, what we're really going to focus in on today is a new visual that we released called Power Excel. It sounds exactly like the name. It is Excel inside of Power BI. We're talking the ability to use client calculations, to drag and fill, to use VLOOKUPs and sum ifs, and add different types of groupings and filtering and freeze panes, all directly within Power BI and enabled with write back from our write back engine.
Wow. One of our viewers mentioned Excel hell. That sounds like Excel heaven to me. So yeah, I cannot wait to see
Exactly. Exactly. No longer do we have to say, hey, well, it works a little different than Excel. We're actually going to give you Excel now.
Wow.
And again, these are some of our customers, Chris, just so you understand, we are working with the cream of the crop, as I mentioned. Enterprise experience. The product that you're going to see today is in use with thousands of concurrent users. This is not a small one-off solution, right? This lives in your customer's environment and works with the data you have. PowerOn never takes data, stores data, or touches your data for any reason. This is an add-in to your existing environment. It makes vendor setup, it makes InfoSec, things like that very easy for organizations to start using the product right away.
Oh, this is amazing. Okay, I'm going to have to. Okay, this is great. Keep going. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Just 1 or 2 examples that I typically like to share with an audience that may be new to PowerOn world is just kind of start to think about what we can actually do for an organization. Here's a Fortune 100 medical organization out of the Midwest. And they've been using us for 3 years now. We replaced hundreds of Excel spreadsheets. Okay. It used to take their IT team 6 months for a simple data project request. All right. This is not an exaggeration, right? This is their words, not ours. They had $100 million gross margin impact because now they have salespeople making price suggestions and adjustments, and it's going directly to an executive's dashboard for decision making and pricing adjustments and margin and deal profitability. And we replaced hundreds of spreadsheets. So this is one example of a Fortune 100 company. For those of you that are in finance, here's Stewart Title, publicly traded multi-billion-dollar company. We help them replace HFM, Hyperion, Space, and bring everything into Microsoft Stack with the Power BI front end. They saved $1 million in Oracle spend. They now plan their
Wow.
corporate budget for a multi-billion-dollar company in less than 2 weeks each year. And last but not least, the cool one from Europe, 9,000 spreadsheets gone, like at the snap of a finger, okay? With 30,000 patients, all different healthcare providers, they have now been able to do validation and data collection in a real-time manner. It used to take 40 hours to do certain things, and now it takes less than an hour for them to collect, validate, and approve all these different data inputs. Again, just wanted to showcase a couple examples there. We have plenty more. You're more than welcome to visit our website and see more customer stories. But if you're in sales, if you have your hands in the finance cookie jar, if you're in operations, these are some things that we could potentially, bring to your organization.
Yeah, that 9,000 Excel files is legit true, right? Like, that is something that we deal with, the thousands upon thousands of Excel files that you have to manage, and people shuffle around all over the place. And yeah, that Excel hell is a legit thing. So,
yeah,
all right. So
for sure.
Is this a before report before we get into Power On? What it would look like before, and then you're going to show me Power On BI?
We're gonna show you a little bit of everything here. So we can show you a before, we can show you an after, okay? And I'll do that quickly.
Okay.
I figured the audience may also be interested in architecture and how things work as well.
Yeah.
So, maybe a quick intro to the visuals, how they operate. We'll switch over to the architecture, and we'll come back for the fully stylized applications that we have in use at Fortune 500 companies.
That'd be perfect. But you're telling me that this is a Power On example?
This is a Power On example. That is correct.
Wow.
So the beauty of our product is it works with what you guys have built. Not an exaggeration. You don't have to ETL anything in. You don't have to put data somewhere else. You're able to leverage the data sets that you already have created. We are a true add-in to Power BI. So as an example, if any of you are familiar with working with a data entry matrix, right? It's a pivot table inside of Power BI, correct? So you can come in here and drag on anything you want for rows, columns, and values, and it shows up over here. Now, the problem becomes for many people is, what if I want to adjust this total from 45 million to 50 million and watch it allocate down over all my brands? You can't do that. What if I want to evenly spread 105 million over quarters or working days in a period? Can't do that. And what if I want to leave a comment to this individual data point? And wherever that data point goes, my comment's going to show up and follow it. So these are all things that our product enables. And without an exaggeration, if you want to take your data entry matrix and make it right back enabled, you replace it with our custom visual. Inside the custom visual itself, there's some settings, and then you have the ability to hook up to our write back engine. Okay. So in here, you'll see there's like a data entry setting. Once you hook up to our write back engine and your backend database of your choosing, you can publish to the service as a Power BI developer. And now the cool thing about this solution, it inherits all of your Active Directory. It inherits row level security. There is nothing that you need to do. The product will function, okay? It also works with all of your standard Power BI visuals, any filters you have. So that's pretty cool as well. So when you come here with our data entry matrix, you can do basic inputs, right? Like at the lowest level of granularity, a subtotal, or even a total level. And a lot of our customers love this ability. This is going to be used for more like the forecasting use cases, right? Planning, strategic forecasting, forward-looking applications, because they can do aggregate level breakbacks, which is something unique in the Power BI system.
Yeah, and it looks like Excel, right? So it's familiar to them, as Donald Parrish mentions again. So how easy is it to update that? Do I have to fill out a form?
Yeah.
What do I do to update that value?
No form. The main thing is that you work with a version of data, and there's multiple ways to interact with this matrix. So you have the ability to do an override, as an example. I'm going to override that to 20 million, press save changes, or hit my enter button on my keyboard. That increase of 6 million units is now going to allocate down across my brand, my product, my months. It updates my fact table and refreshes my Power BI report in the matter of seconds. So again, any calculations that any of you have on your reports, measures, any visuals, whether they're custom visuals, standard visuals, are automatically refreshed with our product. All right, so you can see the immediate effect. Other cool things that come out of the box, one of our most widely used features is something called a goal seek. So what if I want to make an adjustment for an entire month or year, but I don't want it to affect all my data points? You can actually set goal seek, and now I can use a smart formula, increase 2 million, and now it will break back proportionally only to those 3 data points that I've selected. Again, everyone, this is out of the box functionality, not something that you need to program, not something that you need to concern yourself with. And in addition to this, we're going to keep moving on a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to show you guys as well. I mean, take a look at this, Chris. You guys know the new formatting wizard where you're able to select different types of things inside of Power BI. This is a game changer for our users that use our custom visuals. The main reason is that when Power BI comes out with new awesome stuff, right? Like the ability to do multi-select and pivot their matrix whenever you want, we get to reap the benefits of that. So as an example, if I look at this report, I can now come in here and say, you know what? I don't want to see quarter and month. I want to see year. And I also want to see price and sales. And just like that, I'm now looking at 2019, with my quantity, my price, my sales, etc., for my brand and my product. So this is pretty cool. So when Power BI,
are you in the authoring view, or are you just a consumer at this point?
This is a consumer view. So this is now allowing end users to pivot their data truly any way they want without you having, as a Power BI developer, having to create different views, different models, different filters. They can now come in here and pivot this any way they want and then make aggregate level changes, make detailed level changes, and everything writes back and rolls up in real time.
Wow. All right. Does anyone in the chat, have you seen this before? That's incredible. I'm blown away by this. That's awesome, Mike. So, and quick, before you move on, I know you have lots to talk about. Did you say you could make a comment on here and that comment would travel along with wherever you go?
That's true. Yeah. So to be quite honest, right, like we're a right back and planning company, and we've been helping people with forecasting and custom applications. And over the last 16 months, right, we've had more people purchase our licensing just to do commentary. And we kind of laugh when that happens. We're like, is this real? But it's actually a need within the market, right? They want to save comments to a data point, not have something on the side of something, not have to go to PowerPoint, not have to go to Excel. So with our product, you can leave a comment directly in line and it will be stored to the tuple of data. So as an example, if I hover over, I can see it. Let's take a look. I'm going to drill down to an individual salesperson here.
Yeah.
Right. I did nothing else. Okay. I pivoted what I'm looking at in my matrix, and you can see we have all new comments now because these comments have an intersection of only Chris Walker's book of business. If I go to Target Retail and Apple brand, right? You guys get the gist. You can pivot and move and slice and filter your data anywhere you want, and comments will follow those, and you can make comments there and they'll follow them anywhere they go. Also, to show an example, right? You can make matrix you can have any standard reporting you want on top of the commentary. So just use basic Power BI functionality, right? Where I can say, hey, show me all comments made by Michael Marotta. And you can see that here. Another example is one of the largest construction companies in the United States. They want to attack things completely differently. They actually have a comment analytics page. So executives can come in and say, show me unresolved comments for this group and filter their data. Although the comments were made in PowerOn visuals, right? They can use standard Power BI functionality to get to a subset of data and drill down onto a report and take a look at this. They can actually see different commentary, who it's assigned to. They have the ability to have a workflow and approval process on the commentary data points themselves.
Wow.
So this is truly like art of the possible when it comes to commentary. You can do something as simple as I showed you with inside of a cell, or you can do something as complex as you're seeing here with full-blown workflow and approval. As an example, in a working version of a data set, you can have a bunch of comments. Hey, Susan, why did this happen? Hey, Frank, I don't know. What did you do wrong? You might not want that back and forth to go in front of an executive dashboard, right? So you can actually approve what you want what you want to go into the reporting stack.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's just one or two examples of the commentary, but there's a ton of other examples that we'll be able to show here as we move through. But hopefully that at least wet your whistle a little bit there, Chris, on what you're able to do from a commentary perspective with the visuals. Pretty cool stuff there.
That's incredible. Yeah, yeah. Let's show me the architecture. I really, I'm concerned because this stuff that I have to report on, it's secure financial information. I can't have it leaving my space. Some of it's projections. That's not out to the street. I can't have that. Going over to PowerOn and having you snoop on it. How does this work?
Yeah.
How do I protect my data?
That is the sole reason that I think we started getting into the Fortune 500 is because they didn't have to. We're not software as a service. We're not taking your data. We're not touching it. This is an internal solution. You guys technically don't have to change anything. Add us on top and begin using the product. So the way you'll see here is everything in black, Chris, is a standard Power BI instance that anyone would have, okay? You have data repositories, whatever that may be for an organization. People are pulling data into Power BI, creating their own models in Power BI, right, using the internal tabular engine, and then they push to the service where people can come in and view data. The only thing that changes for us is we are now opening up a two-way street back into your environment, back into a database. So this is done and all set up by the customer, okay? This is not something proprietary.
Okay.
This is going to be an Azure app service, or if you're using a gateway or have data on-prem, it would be a simple IIS server. So any infrastructure team, sometimes even divisions themselves, have the ability to configure this. That's what the installation actually is for this. You set up an Azure app service in Azure, and you set up a connection string to whatever database you want. So when I was pressing save changes, Chris, the browser itself, right, of the user was communicating with a web service component that is configured and provisioned and managed by the customer themselves. Nothing ever leaves your firewall. And then that web service takes that statement and does an insert, update, delete statement to a version of data, to an existing fact table, or some companies nowadays are even using like a separate write back table and like throwing up a SQL pass real fast and just kind of storing data there. The beauty is,
I was going to say, I don't want to corrupt my source of truth, my central source of truth with my write back or adjustments, but I want to make sure that my visuals and that my data sets that are aligned with these commentaries and aligned with this information have access to it. So you're saying I can keep my central data warehouse that I only have read access to, and I could stand up a write back server and configure it to write back to that. Yes?
You could do that 100%. In many instances, Chris, I would say 85% of our customers actually just create a version table inside of their existing data warehouse. That allows them to keep that separation of church and state, right? We have a table structure that is all read-only, and then we have a table that is now going to take inputs from PowerOn's visuals. Everything lives in the same database, but Power BI can pull all those tables back together, mash them up, do all your beautiful analysis as Power BI does.
I gotcha. All right. That's incredible.
And then, yeah. And then in other companies, quite honestly, you talk about master data management, there may become an approval process where you want to push things back to SAP, where you want to push things back to Oracle. So based on certain, workflows and things like that, these three people approved it. You can set up a job automatically that will just take data and map it back somewhere. So not everyone does that, but there are use cases for our software that go from someone making a change to a hierarchy, someone approving it, and that moving back into the actual source of record as well.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yep. So this is like a mini diagram that kind of covers everything, right? So Snowflake, Postgre, Teradata, HANA, Salesforce, Amazon Redshift, we write back to all of them. We write back to 200 plus data sources out of the box. And then many companies that are Azure specific will just, use an Azure SQL staging area, right? Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But to showcase what I mean, too, if you guys are using premium anywhere, premium per user, not an exaggeration. You already have everything you need. We can just use your internal tabular models. Some of our customers are still using SSAS and analysis services. In that instance, no problem. We write back to your source data, your source table, right? The version table, reprocess your model, and reprocess Power BI in less than a second or two. And then we have other companies that just want simple type of write back, right? Where I don't need a tabular model. It's going to be basic insert, update, CRUD statements, right? Where I want to write back to any table I have in my database, update it, and refresh Power BI instantaneously. So a lot of different flavors for how you can work within the Azure stack. But the main takeaway is lives in your environment, is owned by you, follows the internal protocols. Installation takes 30 minutes, right, to go through and install and set up the app service. Okay. Then you go through a couple hours of training on how to use the front end visuals.
Yeah.
And you guys ramped up and ready to go.
Wow. So you're saying that in a day, I could get this all installed, deployed, and available for use?
We just delivered a project that took 15 hours to work with one of our customers, and they just thought we spent 2 months on it. I mean, that's the type of turnaround you can have because you're not learning a net new product, and that's kind of the beauty of it. And I think what's going to come next might actually blow your mind and everyone else's mind, because when you talk about how easy is it to use, our new visual kind of, Chris, really takes away any impediments, takes away someone that's dragging their feet going, don't take my Excel spreadsheet and put it into Power BI. I like my Excel spreadsheet. Now, with the new visual that we're going to be offering, you have the ability to bring the best of both worlds. Okay, so here's one of our other visuals, Chris. This is the table editor visual that we mentioned a little bit earlier on. This is like a living, breathing, walking insert, update, delete statement. Very easy to use. This bad boy is the one that takes 20 minutes to set up, not an exaggeration, okay? And to showcase the difference here, what I mean, so you guys have, and people use Power BI tables, right?
Yeah.
But so many times you go, hey, why can't I just change a status of this thing here? Why can't I change a date? Why can't I update an inventory number? So with our product, you now have the ability to take any table and make that right back enabled. And again, same type of lift and replace process. The difference is each one of your fields now can become editable. You can give them drop downs. You can give them date pickers. You can have rich text commentary. Okay. You can do bulk update. You can do insert and delete statements. So this has been one of our most widely used visuals. Like every one of our customers finds 5 use cases for this bad boy. But still heard from people, Chris, well, why can't I just spread my columns? Why can't I, filter them? Why can't I do simple things like that? Well, regretfully, that's not how this visual itself works. So we always had to give them, a setting to change. Right. Now, with our new products, take a look. This is a 1-for-1 replacement. Now they can actually come in here and do all of their stuff they want to do. They want to do drag to fill, no problem. They want to come in here and use an Excel formula. Give me this times this. No problem. 16, right? They can do commentary. They can spread things down, right? I just double click that and just erased all my comments. You can hide and show columns, right? So you have the ability to hide things. You can freeze panes. You are now taking away any excuse from an end user or someone that's familiar with Excel and giving them a true Excel experience. We're talking Control C, Control V, no problem. There isn't going to be a learning curve for these end users. Okay. Wow. So this is just some of the new experience where our table editor used to be very structured. Again, wildly popular, but take a look at the difference. You still have the ability to do drop downs and date pickers and leave comments and all of that great stuff. But now you have full Excel flexibility.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. Is that how that, a company got rid of those 9,000 Excel spreadsheets, was using that visual?
Yep, exactly. So you can really just consolidate everything. And the beauty is that everything here goes into an audit log as well. So when someone mentioned in the group Excel hell, this is Excel without Excel hell. This is the definition of we call structured flexibility. Flexible front end, user experience through the roof, everything structured in the back end. Management, executives, data and analytics, IT teams all feel safe. All the data is there. They can't break it, right? So in this example, you can just see some other cool stuff. I already showed you some of our basic stuff, right?
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. We'll go back,
That's
go
what,
back, go back. So sorry.
no,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah. So with this new product, it's pretty cool. It has a lot more flexibility as well. So as an example, if you see here, we actually have the ability to do client-facing calculations now. So that means, guess what? Whisper, don't have to write DAX if you want to use this product either. So what you can actually do, if you see 100 here, I can type in 150, hit enter, and you saw my calculations and everything update in real time. So even from a reporting perspective, we're now allowing you to do real-time data quality and real-time updates. Another cool thing, how about you give users sliders? Take away any excuse they have not to use the product, right? Let them type it in if they want. Let them use a slider. Let them see the effect before they commit that change back to their database. This is
Wow.
what this product is going to enable, okay? Now, this is literally just the tip of the iceberg, everyone, to showcase for all of you who have ever used Power BI, right, and have developed in Power BI desktop and maybe even used a custom visual. Look at this little pane over here. Look how thin that is, right? Not really much we can do with that, and you don't really feel like you have a ton of flexibility. With the new Power Excel visuals, you can create and model and build any template you want using an Excel ribbon. We're talking about hardcore conditional formatting. We're talking about different types of alignments. We're talking wrap text, merge and center. We're talking determining what type of items you want. You can come here and choose, I want a
Wow.
checkbox that writes a true false statement back to our database. You can come here and say, remember that slider I just showed you? I want to give them a slider too. I want them to type in numbers, but I also want to give them a slider option. You click these buttons and you're creating this custom UI in the matter of minutes, okay? And one really cool thing that I think every one of our customers who's upgraded to use this visual has fallen in love with, if you have an Excel template today that your team likes to use, go ahead, import it. You
No
can
way.
import an Excel template directly here and make it right back enabled within Power BI. We're talking all of the formatting. We're talking any calculations you have. Do it all in Excel, import it here, connect it to your data set, and you're done.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's quite impressive. That is something else. Okay, so we've covered your Excel plugin, we've covered your table plugin.
Mhm.
What other items does the Power On do you have inside your suite of tools?
Sure. We have a ton of customers that use us for drag and drop planning. So, and interactive. So I showed you a little bit of the sliders, but many people also like to have bar charts and line charts and things like that. So with this example here, you can see calculations and KPIs, Chris.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to come in and manipulate cost of goods sold or a driver and see the effect on your calculations.
Hang
We have
on.
visuals in our suite that
What did you
offer
just
that as
do?
well.
You went really quick there.
I changed our cost of goods sold percentage, committed that back to the database, and now we will get all new calculations in the matter of seconds.
Just by
And we have
dragging on that point. Can you do it again? Can you show it to me
sure,
a little
absolutely, yeah.
quicker or a
So even
little
on this,
slower?
yeah, no problem. So
Yeah.
if we go back to our first report we looked at, and I'll refresh it to make sure we have live data. You have the ability here to, if you guys take a look at our global spend and what we're doing, you can
Mhm.
actually add seasonality or change a custom spread by doing a drag and drop experience up here. So if I want to,
Oh.
mimic peaks and valleys, we have a huge candy provider that uses our product. And during
Oh.
COVID, they wanted to be able to model if Valentine's Day was even going to happen, or if Halloween, the kids were going to be allowed out, right? So they're able to not only do all of their capacity planning and demand planning, but also executive leadership can now have the tools at their fingertip, not an exaggeration, where they can do this on their Surface Pro or iPad. And what we did down here is we kept all of our total the same, but now you guys will see a different custom spread, 42 million, 53 million, and 62 million based on this drag and drop experience that we provided. And we have other customers that may want to do true driver-based modeling. One of the big four accounting firms use us globally. They want to do project profitability, so they can manipulate billing rate, utilization percentage,
Mm.
things like that, and see the effect on a project profitability. they can use our bar chart or a line chart to do those things.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's just as easy as grabbing a little dot and dragging it around, huh?
Yep. And you can have multiple axes here, right? You can have one that's locked from historical data perspective. You can have things that you can move around. So you can have multiple things there. You can leave comments to the data point, to the little item here, why you made that change. All of the above.
How does it work when if you have multiple people, multiple planners, and a visual like this, and they want to create different scenarios? Are you able to capture that by chance?
Absolutely. So everything we do, especially from the planning perspective, is going to have some sort of version control associated. Okay. So
Okay.
to showcase a really cool example here, this is built, and Microsoft brought us in to help this organization, the largest telecom provider, or one of the largest telecom providers in the United States. And this is what their UX and UI looks like. So what we're looking at right now, Chris, is a control cockpit, like a version cockpit. So I can see all my versions here, right? I can see where they are, what the high level aggregate numbers are, who created it, who submitted it, and who approved it. Now, what if I want to copy and create my own scenario? This is the cockpit that they've created, okay? Everyone has different things. I'll show you different examples if need be. But here I can say preload my version with my budget from 2022. I want to create a forecast. I want this to be Q3 aggressive MM. And I'm going to call it aggressive because I'm going to model an increase of 10% across the board, right? Leave a little note for myself.
Sure.
Press save change. Yeah.
No, I'm agreeing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So when you press save changes, what we're actually doing now is creating a new unique identifier in the backend database. So now end users have a new version that they can store deltas on. Okay. So with this example, they come here and they have the ability to view inputs and outputs, right? Standard Power BI stuff, nothing crazy. They can use our visuals to leave comments, okay, for the overall report. But then they also have the ability inside this version to edit the version. And this is where our matrix comes in, where they can come in and update their forecast and plan, okay? But again, this is all permission-based experience. It knows who I am, what I'm doing, and when I'm done my inputs, Chris, I can send that for approval without having to leave the report. And I submit, press save changes, and using a Power Automate, my manager just got an email saying that Mike Marotta has put in something for your review with a link back to this report.
Really? So he can then go in and approve it, or what if he doesn't like it? Can he reject it?
Absolutely. So if you come here to see my submission status, if I'm a manager, I'm going to have the ability to edit. Not everyone will, right? This is based on a permission and who I am. And now I can come here, I can review everything, and I can deny it. That will go back, playing ping pong with my sales guy, right? In this example, to say, hey, go back there. And my notes are go to May, right? And increase by 15%, please, right? And then resubmit. So yes, this is the type of UX and UI that they have created. We have other examples, and even with the new Power Excel visual itself, Chris, you can even create forms. So some of our customers now, right, instead of doing what I just showed you, they may want to use an Excel form where they can create something in their Excel template. And you can see that I just want to collect this information and write it back to a table in SQL. Right? Whatever this may be, you see my progress bar up here. I can type in different information. I can answer questions, right? It may be very similar to how you submit or approve something. And then when I commit changes and save that back, we've now written that back to the SQL database. Any reporting, any analysis, anything we're doing from Power BI perspective will now show that. So now you can see Mike Marotta XXX. What I just created, I created a new record. So what I mean to say is there's different UXs and UIs. Each company is a little different for what they think is best for their company. But just want to show you both examples there where you have a version cockpit, you have that. We have other things that people do. There's a lot of different examples for how people do it. Some people like it really simple from a version control perspective. Other people want to get a little fancier.
That's incredible. Now, I I do want to get into the licensing side and talk about like what is how do you license it? How do you put costs on this? Before we jump over to that, are there any other things we want to touch on? Kind of put a bow on the feature set that you'd like to
Yeah, I think
highlight?
Yeah, I think honestly, just showing the audience what a finished product looks like. We've only really shown components so far, Chris,
Yeah.
and that probably doesn't do the full solution justice. So, what happens is when you put all these things together, Chris, with the power of Power BI, this is what your screen's going to look like, right? This is what we try to bring. It's an
Hmm.
application feel. You can't sell a one-stop shop without providing it, right?
Right.
So this is what we kind of do is so most of our customers now have really intense and beautiful menuing systems. So you can see here that this is just standard Power BI stuff, everyone. But if I want to manage my product table, I click a button. And now I'm looking at my table editor where I can come in and update my project status for something or what service policy there is or X, Y, and Z. If I want to do my demand plan, I click a button. This is the type of experience that I want to show the audience because when you bring all of our visuals together,
Mm.
this is what the end result ends up looking like. You have a place where people can do planning, where we can do different types of admin functions. None is more clear here than something we did for a Chicago-based organization. Take a look at this menuing system. 4 different standard Power BI views, 2 data entry screens, and a full admin portal just for people that have the correct permissions. They can create versions, they can manage master data of any kind, right? So this, I just wanted to show that to everyone. I want to make sure you can look at your hierarchies. You can then come in and edit the hierarchies in this example. But just wanted to make sure that before we switch gears, Chris, that you and the audience were able to see a true finished product and what it would look like when you have Power BI reporting, data entry, and admin functions all on the same screen.
Well, this is fantastic. I am super excited to see how you can bring this all together, especially because now you're talking about turning Power BI into basically an app, right? And a
Mhm.
data-driven app, which is, we've all been tasked with making data-driven decisions. Now here we can make data-driven action. So that is exciting. Oh, oh yeah, this is great. If any of you have questions, please do post those in the chat. I'm happy to bring that forward and we can have a conversation on that. But um, Mike, so
Mhm.
I like it, right? This looks great. How do I pay for it? What is the licensing model, right? Like I have like ebbs and flows and needs. How can I license this product for my company?
Sure. Yeah, so what we'll do today, Chris, is, we
Hmm.
typically, we'll walk you through the licensing types and flavors and how you can license it. If anyone's interested in hardcore pricing, we typically handle that on a case by case basis. So
Sure,
everyone has an opportunity to reach out to us and throw a couple scenarios, and I'll get right back to you with ballpark pricing. Okay. Um,
fantastic.
but in certain areas and situations like live streams and webinars and things like that, we like to just make sure the audience understands how it's licensed and
Yep.
what the licenses are. Okay. So there's 2 main types that anyone needs to worry about. That is a modeler license. Okay. Just so everyone understands what a modeler license is, it's a developer, someone that's going to develop in Power BI, use our visuals, configure them, maybe add a data connection, right? And publish to the service for end users to come in and enter data into. You need at least one of those, right? So you have a modeler. They're going to be a smaller number of users. Think of your Power BI development team, right?
Right.
3, 4 of those people, 5 of them, 10 of them, depends on how size of the organization. Now, the other people that need licenses are contributors. So I don't want to be clear here. View only users are free from PowerOn's perspective. Okay. So
Okay,
only
great.
people, yeah. So only people that need to enter data, so literally make a comment, need to input a numerical value, need to perform a what if scenario, require licenses from PowerOn. If I'm an executive and I want to view a PowerOn dashboard, I want to drill down on commentary, I want to see the output of a variance forecast versus budget, right? You don't need a license from PowerOn.
Mm, mm.
Okay, so those are our two main people. There'll be more contributors than modelers, but these are the two different licensing types that you would need to think about. Okay, developers and contributors. Now, with that being said, as we move on to our next slide, we have a couple different flavors. We are the anti-software company, I would say, right? We all come from selling publicly traded organizations and their software and very hardcore structured licensing. We've tried to make it whatever you want, you can have, right? So here are four main types of licensing options that we have. Number one is a named approach. If you have 50 contributors, you buy 50 licenses. All 50 people can do write back 24/7, 365 days a year. Secondary option is called concurrent licensing. This is a shared pool. You have 50 people, you buy 10 licenses. All 50 people have their own permission-based experiences. They can do write back, but only 10 people can be viewing and interacting with the PowerOn visual at one time. Great for less frequent use cases, right? If everyone's coming in at the end of the month, no matter what, and that final day of the month to do their budget inputs, concurrent may not help there. If we have a full team that just comes in and makes data quality adjustments or commentary adjustments, you might be able to stretch that concurrent ratio pretty far, right?
Yeah.
Also helpful for our global companies. They have 30% of their workforce in APAC, 70% of their workforce on the East Coast. They can spread that even further because those people typically are never in the product at the same time.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And another really cool one for our financial planning and commentary users, and maybe even some sales organizations that aren't really at a point yet where they want to plan every month, right? Seasonal licenses. So you do not have to pay for licenses for the year. You have the ability to, pay for ebbs and flows. So if you only need access every quarter, right, you can pay for 3 or 4 months of the year. If you want to open things up from a corporate budgeting perspective, just in November and December, you pay for just 2 months and have, admin licenses that are active all year, and then ebbs and flow, that peak as an example when it comes budget time.
So hang on, Mike. You're telling me if I have a quarterly review process that we have all of our leadership, all of our managers get together and do their reviews on, they could do that in the tool, in the system, and I would only have to pay for those licenses for the 4 months of the year where that activity goes on?
That's correct.
Wow. That is fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, it really meant to make it easy, right? We're trying to remove all of the typical hurdles that you may see when onboarding software. If you only have something that you're going to use 4 times a year, it's doing you a disservice to charge you all year for that. You know what I mean? So we have these options out there. We try to be flexible. We don't want to nickel and dime our customers. We don't care if you buy 5 or 10 licenses, right? We want to start we want to become trusted advisors for our partners, right? And ease of entry is number one and paramount importance for us. And then, we rely on our 94% retention rate from a customer perspective, Chris, to continue to grow our organization. So, we have confidence in product, and if people start using it, they typically fall in love with it, and it becomes a key tool for them.
All right, Mike, that is fantastic. But we are nearing the end of our hour. And I want to turn the floor to you to give you what's the call to action that you have for what the next steps are? What is it that you want people to know? What else would we like to leave the viewers with?
Well, mainly, I want to make sure everyone understands that this is a true option, right? Not many people, Chris, really know that they can do this type of stuff in Power BI, right? When people do, people want to use it. But with doing live feeds like this, Chris, with your followers and people like that, this is the true legwork that I hope not only you guys open your eyes up and ladies that are watching this today, but tell a friend, right? I mean, you now have the ability to supercharge Power BI into something that no other tool in the world can do. Like genuinely bring together the best BI platform in the world with the ability to do all these different types of custom write back planning, forecasting, and workflow applications, that's a unique offering. So when people are investing in Power BI and are quote unquote a Microsoft shop, this makes a lot of sense for them, right? Why bring in a competing technology? Why do X, Y, and Z? We can leverage what we've already invested in. So next steps, if anyone is interested, right, we would love to learn more about what you guys are doing. There's going to be no hardcore sales pitch, nothing like that. We want to learn what you're doing and see if there's value. If there isn't, we'll tell you. If there is, then you may be excited to spend 30 minutes with us and learn more about what use cases and see some custom POCs that we've done that may align with you. All right. So again, I can share my contact information with everyone. You can reach out via our website and request time with a member of our sales organization. And again, no hard selling. We are purely happy to do informative type demos. And we believe that results will come in the future, right? So if you guys ever have, Power BI office hours, or you guys have a monthly meeting at your organization and you would love to maybe have us come in and do a little showcase just to show art of the possible. These are all things that we do for our customers and prospective customers alike. So I hope to see you around. Yeah, hope to see everyone around. We do a lot of sponsorship stuff as well. So if don't be a stranger. Feel free to stop by our booth anytime or give us a call if you ever need anything.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to go over this with us. I learned a ton inside this demo. I'm going to be honest with the viewers. Me and Mike have talked. I saw this before. I was blown away. I learned more about this second time around through. So please do reach out to Mike. Do connect to the link on PowerOnBI that I shared out inside the in the live stream. I'll post that down into the comments below so that you have a link to go out there. Connect with them. Talk with Mike. Set up a meeting. Run through your scenarios with them. Is really the next and best way to start engaging, learning more about this, and seeing how you can start to take advantage of right back and capabilities. Mike, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. Really appreciate you joining me today. Thank you so much, Mike.
Anything for a fellow Star Wars fan.
All right. Well, and to everyone on the live stream, thank you so much for joining us, for being part of the chat and being part of the community. Really appreciate it. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Heck, turn on the alarm bell so you don't miss any of the updates that we got coming out. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. You know what we say. Peace.